Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove Case. Today with some never seen before text messages, conversations with Alicia reaching out to certain people with time, and some timestamps and dates attached today to tell a story from what Alicia knew of at the time and see the change over the course, compare, contrast, share my thoughts, reactions, which will be raw in the moment. It'll be interesting to check for any contradictions, any information, details which have never been talked about before, any drastic changes from what Alicia says compared to what Caden says. What we've got to acknowledge is, whilst Alicia might be doing all the talking at times with people and telling the story, they weren't actually there at the party. So what they will know of is from passed down by Caden Pressey, who was a party goer and in some way, not officially, a person of interest. So join me today as I share with you some very interesting DMs. You can let me know what you think down below in the comment section under the video. Leave your reactions and any questions. And for those that are watching the live premiere, welcome. Be sure to make use of the live chat box located on the right hand side of the screen. And if you want to catch up on recent coverage, additional videos from this case, you'll find a full playlist located top right corner where the I symbol is. If you do want to support this channel, there is a PayPal link to do with me in the pinned comments. Whilst in recent time we have been focusing on Alicia or Caden or back and forth, it's already been shocking enough, so how much worse can it get? Join me today as we do a bit of a deep dive, and credit to the individuals or individual that have collected them over time and archived it, so then we can reflect back on. And take in mind there will be a follow-up part 2 video where we look at even more conversations which are much earlier on. But today I just want to work with a certain bunch just so it doesn't get too overwhelming for everyone. So without further ado, let me show you the conversations. To start things off, this is kind of a familiar screenshot, or whether it be Life 360 from iMessenger. I believe it'll be from Alicia Lee or Alicia's perspective and possibly Caden Pressey, but it's from maybe a different angle and perspective, because one of the videos that I did previously, it was like, I don't know what time it was it 1:40 in the morning onwards of the party, Monday, September 4th, and it showed Caden Pressey, his marker appeared to be half outside, half inside of the building, and Georgia appeared to be more so in the house. In terms of what we see here, it's kind of like the opposite way around. And well, to be honest, it says 1:48, and it's probably very pixelated for most people on the screen, but that does look like 1:48, obviously, when you're more zoomed out. But when looking at the party house, on the left, the J in grey is Georgia at the time, September 4th. But I don't know, it just looks like the marker is more on the outside rather than the inside of the building. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's just how it looks on screen. And if she was outside, what would she be doing at 1:48 in the morning, possibly? But then again, I don't know if that's the time of when a screenshot was taken at a later point or not, so I don't want to get too confused there. If by any chance that this was taken much earlier on, before 12:48 a.m, then it might make more sense, as in before Caden found out about Georgia being outside on the patio drunk, throwing up, with her head in her shoulders, or hands more so, and knees scrunched up, that Alicia knew before that, but not about being drunk, just about being outside. But the patio's on the front, not down the side of the house. So maybe it's just the marker itself. It means in the house, but it looks more like it's outside, and that would be Georgia. Caden, though, appears to be in the middle of the building, which, I don't know, is closer to the dining area, the kitchen area. Was he awake at that point? Was he resting, stood up? Who knows? Just provides a little bit more depth. If anyone wants to add on with the points, you're welcome to do so in the comment section. If you want to attach a timestamp from a video, if you want to address, clear up, answer, respond, question, whatever it may be. All I'll say is, of course, it's interesting that you got the trampoline in the background, around the back of the house, the pasture, and the swimming pool, little one, and the decking area. I mean, were things like that present at the time of the party? Because of all the footage, what we've seen, it's been from inside of the house to the front, but not round the back. But of course, if there is side-by-side footage of the after effects of the rollover or flipping it back on its wheels, and that was round the back, it's like what Jack says, the past year, it might show additional items of interest. I always see it as more of an obstacle because there's a bit of a fence line nearby. You're driving around the back, you got to swerve out the way. Could have caused possibly the rollover or a factor to consider. And in a particular order here, there is a timestamp of some sort, but appears not to show it all. Is that the 23rd day of something, 5:47 a.m. Alicia says, I understand, and you don't have to tell me why. I get it. Noah Presgrove was murdered and dumped like common household garbage. I'm hot-tempered and would be sitting in county, which wouldn't help the fact, but there would be some dead plumbers. I don't trust any. My husband has something Caden from, I don't know what that actually says, has something Holden or Caden from going anywhere around, whatever. But to mention about, I'd be in county, is that saying that if Alicia was the victim's family behind it, that she would be taking more direct action, that Alicia would be getting some kind of revenge because she's hot-tempered? Oh, it comes across like that. It doesn't sound good. And, out of all people, but I guess it's more so what Alicia would get hot-tempered because of Noah's death, getting justice and fighting no matter the consequences or her reckless actions, or more so how Caden Pressey has been treated. If you're defending your son, that would make more sense. If you get very aggressive or very passionate for someone who you don't know as well or not related by blood, then it can make you question a bit. But yeah, I wouldn't help the fact there would be some dead plumbers. Now, I don't know if that's an actual saying or what, or is that implying that, if Alicia stepped in, she would be killing people? Depends how you interpret it. It just doesn't sound too good, does it? Because for some people that have done deeper research and have been elsewhere, such as on some of the Reddit pages, particular one, a review one, some viewers commented and saw that there was video footage of, at some point, Alicia racing kids in a car park and alcohol being present. And then there's supposedly some footage of Alicia, allegedly, pinning down Caden Pressey's girlfriend or a girlfriend previously. A little bit violent, doesn't sound too good. You compare it with what's mentioned here, it looks worse. I'm trying to be careful with my wording. I'm also highlighting from what others think and their perspectives. There is video footage out there of this and that, but does it clearly identify it being Alicia? No. But people are putting it that way. And I think there was someone in the Reddit subreddit thread of the supposed girlfriend or ex-girlfriend saying, yeah, that was me, that's how I was treated. So weird. And you see these extra layers of darkness behind people. We got this particular post by Donna Bond, and it might be a little bit difficult to see. I think the main focus is what Justin says here and Alicia's response below. Justin says, love how you post, then block me. Alicia Lee, how long did it take for your son Caden to talk to the police? And he didn't volunteer to go either. It took him over a month when his so-called friend got murdered. Why did he wait so long? So it's interesting this. Whilst other people get called out and attacked for questioning Caden Pressey and or Alicia, that when Justin does it or has way back in the past at some point, it's okay for him to question. It's okay for him to push and demand answers. But when the general public from then on was questioning Caden, from the army page, people would be kicked and removed. It sounds like one person can do it all, the rest cannot and will get punished. Alicia's response to Justin was, I did not block you and don't come at me spewing lies. We called the OHP at 6 in the morning. Noah was found. You don't actually know anything. And Alicia says to Justin, it's pointless to argue with idiots. So, considering the position Justin Roy was in with time, for someone like Alicia, Caden's mum, to call out Justin for spewing lies amongst other people as well that have called out Justin Roy, it just doesn't look good, does it? But I think the biggest thing here, and it's not been edited, at least from when the photo was taken, just really focus on in. Alicia said at the time, we, the family, called the police at 6 in the morning that Noah was found dead. Take in mind, how would Alicia's husband know about Noah's death? Why would they call at 6 in the morning when Caden Pressey at 5:15 knew about Noah's death and only told Alicia and family the news once Caden Pressey made it back home at around 8 to 8:15 in the morning? All those hours passing by and Caden did not contact his family members, his parents, his mom. And of course, that in its own right, maybe some people could say because Caden was shocked. He froze up. He didn't know what to do. Some people are vocal and other people go very quiet and suffer in silence and try and cope with it all. I understand that. But if it was supposedly true what Alicia said at the time, that at 6 in the morning we knew of Noah's death, but by the way, Caden Pressey only told us 2-3 hours later, that makes no sense whatsoever, does it? I believe this comment may have been edited or added on below at some point where Alicia said, no, I mean after 6 in the morning that we contacted OHP. Why would Alicia be contacting OHP? Is it to alert them that a body has been found on the highway and that they want police down there to check it out? Or is Alicia trying to call the police to contact them and say, hey, my son Caden needs interviewing and we need to clear his name as soon as possible? Because as we've heard with the main calls made, 5:43, 5:53. So why after that would Alicia need to call if calls have already been made and police are already on the way? And on top, the main question being, Alicia simply wouldn't know at 6 in the morning, based off Caden saying when he left the house, the party house, at 7 in the morning, taking Mikey, Brylan and Isaac back home, dropping them off, and then at 8 in the morning, getting back to his place of living and telling his parents the news of Noah's death, hours after. So it doesn't make any sense here what Alicia had commented in the past. Major problems. Even if it was a mistake, a mistype, the specific time of 6 in the morning, and even if it was edited afterwards, oh, I meant after 6 in the morning, what's so significant about 6 a.m. exactly? Is there any truth to it whatsoever? Like, if Caden Pressey knew, and if Caden's timeline of 5:15 was true, and if Alicia found out at 6 in the morning somehow, why was there such a silence between Caden and his mum Alicia? Weird, very weird. Just that in itself can be a video, and it's good that it's still documented now. Moving on, another comment, another DM. Alicia says, Caden Pressey from going anywhere around those boys. I guess the partygoers, Caden's friends. Caden didn't want to anyways, but still, I check his location often. Right, okay. So this appears to be a continuation follow-up from last night, I believe. extra details. So we've looked at the AirTag, the Apple one, which was placed on Caden's vehicle or inside in the past, once in 2023, and then the other, I believe it was June or July of 2024. One of the events, it was down to Alicia, the 2023 one, but in 2024, another device was found on top of the previous or replaced, who knows. But Alicia says that wasn't us, but she also says it was us in the past. Two separate events, or the same thing, to play the sympathy act, to gain attention, a sob story to make them seem worse off and more at danger, so then people will give them more money. That's what some in the community have suggested who are skeptical. But it's important to acknowledge here, at some point mentioned, Alicia said, Caden didn't want anyways. I check his location often, and we even put a tracking device on his truck just so we know where he is if his phone dies. It's awful that we have little murderers running around. Okay, so we might have some overlaps with what we looked at last night, but there's no harm in going back over it, right? There'll be additional stuff about why my son didn't do everything he said he didn't do. Caden is the only kid that has been honest. He came home crying his eyes out, and we immediately called OHP. Right, okay. If that's all true, fine. Caden Pressey gets home, but at what time? So Alicia is saying once Caden made it home, that's when we called OHP. But Alicia is also saying that we called the OHP at 6 a.m. Well, at 6 a.m, Caden Pressey was still at the party house, to my knowledge. If it's true what Alicia says about once Caden got home, and it's true about it being 6 a.m, then that would mean Caden Pressey left the party house much earlier, and Renee Millan wouldn't have seen Caden. But then Sarah Long at 7, 8 in the morning saw Caden at the house and needed to wake him up. So that in itself, when you combine it all together, it makes no sense whatsoever, and it does not link at all, these different points of views and statements and times. It's a complete disaster. What I would like to know is, what do you believe in more? As a viewer, those that are watching right now during this live premiere and those catching up on replay, do you think it's true that Caden Pressey made it back home at 8 a.m, or did he make it home much earlier on for Alicia to contact the police at 6 a.m? It's a little weird, isn't it? Anyway, Alicia says, we called the Comanche Police, Duncan PD, OHP over and over for days. Why? More so in regard to what? Clearing your son's name and getting it over and done with? Maybe, interview-wise. Alicia says, no one came to collect his phone. For something, Caden is the only one. I said no, was not, whatever. Okay. Well, at that point, or at some point, no one came to collect his phone, but Caden was willing to hand it in and police wouldn't bother. But then in June, in July of 2024, at some point, Parts in True Crime did a part 2 interview with Caden and more so Alicia, and Alicia stated that police finally took the phone over, did an analysis, and the data on Caden's phone proves his 5:15 timeline to be correct. But Caden Pressey says police never took his phone, so who's telling the truth there? We have it a bit clearer here, though, with a date, December 1st, 2023 at 6:41 p.m. Of course, any conversations, screenshots from people of interest, key people in the case of 2023 time is more important because it's more fresh, closer to when the time of Noah's death occurred in the party. There's a screenshot attached which might be Justin Roy calling out Alicia and demanding answers from Caden, and Alicia says, you read this post? I'm pulling up my phone records so this guy Justin Roy can stop asking questions about why my son didn't do everything he said he didn't do. Caden has been honest. Okay. So this is kind of like early on In 2023, when Alicia had no clue who Justin Roy was, but found that he was a problematic and, in a way, a liar. So early on, when people have a bad reputation and people think badly of one another, sets the scene for down the line, doesn't it? Now, of course, I wasn't present in the case at this time, but if I was, who knows what else I could have picked up on. Alicia says, Caden is the only one that said Noah was not naked. He told them Jack and some white man in a service truck were the only ones left with Noah when the man yelled at them to leave, as in them, Caden, Brylan, Mikey and Isaac. Caden gave them his phone, offered to take a polygraph and testify in court, but your post name loops him in with criminals and you, whatever that's about. So the man in a service truck could possibly be Cash Alsop, because Cash was in a service truck, white I believe, but that was at 6 a.m. onwards. Caden said he saw a service truck at 5:21 to 5:30 and was told by that guy to leave and walk away. But 6 a.m. onwards, or roughly, when Tyler Hardy, a Ford F-150 pickup driver, was present on scene, one of the first callers, 6 a.m. onwards, I believe, ended up seeing a guy in a high-vis jacket ordering someone to walk away, leave the highway scene. So could that have been Cash Alsop? Could that have been Caden on the receiving end of it? And it was times all mixed up. Who knows? Depends how you look at it. But the bit about Caden gave them his phone, sounds like Alicia is saying that that's exactly what happened, as in what, police, and obtained it. And yet, maybe a month or two ago, Caden Presley said on Facebook publicly, or on YouTube, whichever one, that police never took his phone. So either it was taken or it wasn't, but why is it so difficult? Alicia says, I have a question and it's been eating at me. I've talked to Caden about it many times. Why has no one but Caden said Noah was not naked? Caden said Noah had black basketball shorts on when he pulled up, and Jack Newton's truck and the white service truck were there. He said he got out and saw Noah had black shorts on before the man standing by the something. So I guess what Alicia was hoping for, or wondering as to why someone like Jack or the service truck driver haven't acknowledged that Noah was wearing black shorts, because if they were there just at the same time as when Caden was, they would have seen the same thing, right? And yet they're not all seeing eye to eye on it. So there is a divide, and there has been for quite some time, between what Caden saw and then what the rest of people saw. And the likes of Brylan, Isaac, and, well, as for Mikey, he was at the house, not the highway, from the snap. So Brylan and Isaac, who may have been at the highway, what would they have seen then? Have they spoken out publicly? Nope. What's this one? Shorts on before the man standing by the white service truck yelled at him to leave. I believe Caden. If Caden said he had black shorts on, then he had black shorts on. The detective that Caden spoke to said Caden was the only one that told him that. Why did the guy in the service truck take the shorts off? Jack's dad come and something. Why would the service truck guy take Noah's black shorts off? Is this linking to that supposed highway footage, the tampering with evidence? Why is no one but Caden said was naked? Caden said no black shorts on. Service truck was there. He said he got out and saw Noah had black shorts on before the man standing by the white service truck yelled at him to leave. I believe Caden, if Caden said he had. So take in mind that there might be some overlaps with the screenshots from different angles and not being able to fit it all on screen. As I said, it's raw, this. What do we have here? Alicia Lee, responding to Shannon Scott, says, I don't know if it's too hard to read. I'll try and zoom in a bit. I would like to know why my son's friends who drove to the scene behind another certain friend are all saying Noah was naked. My son, Okay, so I think we might have seen this one before, but how it's worded. Why my son's friends who drove to the scene. What does that mean, though? It was Caden Pressey that was driving, and his friends were passengers. How it's worded here, my son's friends, the friends of Caden Pressey that drove to the scene. That makes no sense. Jack drove to the scene, back and forth. Caden Pressey did once at least. But Caden was driving Brylan, and Isaac at least. Maybe Mikey, depending. So how Alicia words it here is very dodgy in a way. But we may have seen this one before. The other shoe Noah had on was my son's, hey dude, Caden Pressey's. He said he was asleep, and when he woke up, his shoe was missing. When he was woken up, When he was woken up spelt wrong, by a certain friend barging through the front door, screaming. A certain friend. So at this point in time, Alicia did not mention the name, which was obviously Jack Newton. Was there a reason to not mention names back then publicly? Maybe because it was so early on, you just couldn't. Screaming, Noah's dead. But Caden shot up and ran outside after Jack Newton. We've never heard of that. We've never heard of Caden saying he shot up to follow Jack outside to do whatever. Because as for Caden, he was too busy hopping about trying to find his other shoe. 2 to 5 minutes spent. And obviously by then, Jack had already got back to the highway. Alicia says the said friend Jack got into his truck and drove off. My son got into his Jeep, and so did 2 of the boys. Oh, 2 of the boys got in Caden's Jeep, you mean. See, the wording I wouldn't say is the best when you compare to what she started off with in her sentences. When they drove a short distance to where Noah was, Jack Newton was standing beside a man driving a white service truck whilst Noah's body laid on the side of the highway. My son saw Noah when, he was not naked. Okay, the other 2 boys with him. Only 2 boys, meaning what? Mikey was still at the house. How weird. The said friend Jack saw them as well. Obviously, Jack doesn't come up or say the same as what Ken says. The man standing beside the service truck saw this as well, but we've not heard from that service truck driver speaking out. My son was shouted at by the man, the service one, to leave. My son asked if Noah was okay and was told to leave. The police were coming. Now, if that's at 5:21 to 5:30, the police weren't coming because it was at 5:43 to 5:53 when the actual calls were officially made, the first ones. So it does add suspicion there. Okay. I've kind of seen that one before. Alicia says, he also said Noah did fall off the ATV and that is when the girls took him to the shower, but I know he's told y'all this. Which kids is that? You can say anything you like, anything you need to be mindful of is not post address or phone numbers, pictures, videos. So whoever's on the receiving end responding to Alicia here. I don't know who Alicia's referring to, as in he also said Noah did fall off. Fall off the side by side? Did Noah really fall out of it? Or did he climb out of it? I wonder. And the girls took him to showers. Jasmine, Carter, in that order. If you say so. We've seen some discrepancies in recent time, which was a bit odd, as in like the order of when an argument took place with a girl, which Noah's mad at, and then a shower, and then what? Caden saw the girls with Noah's arms around their necks, walking Noah to the shower. He said he thought Noah was drunk, so he was drunk, he could have been semi-conscious. We've seen this previously, but one's going to acknowledge it's obviously very important because Caden said he never saw Noah take a shower. He didn't see acts like that. He didn't see Noah walking to the shower either. Only that Sunday night, Noah was inquiring about having a wash, and that was simply it. At the time of the side-by-side rollover, Caden was asleep, but When he was woken up at 2:42, Caden said he saw Noah, Jack and Jasmine by the beer pong table. Was that before or after the side-by-side rollover? If it was after the side-by-side rollover, may not be far from when it occurred, but makes it hard to believe how Noah could go from there outside to inside. Suppose he needs to be escorted because of balance and being semi-conscious or very drunk, and yet he's able to stand perfectly fine when Ken sees him at 2:42. But then what? Then suddenly needs assistance to the bathroom. Doesn't seem like much urgency there. Depends which way you look at it. It's kind of odd. And more of a continuation with, I guess, Alicia, what she's getting at. The other shoe Noah had on was my son's. He said it was asleep, and okay. My certain friend, we've seen that. My son Noah was wearing black basketball. Okay. Oh, hold on. My son Noah was wearing... Who's actually saying this, though? When they drove a short distance to where Noah was, said friend standing beside. Okay, so there seems to be some bloody overlaps here. Noah was not naked. The detective said my son was the only person. Alicia, private detective came and spoke to Caden again today. A private detective. Is a private detective the same as a private investigator? Might be a bit of a silly question, that. If it was, I'm guessing it might be Kathy Bingham at the time that may have spoken to Caden again. Someone told her that Caden knew what happened. Oh, told her as in what? The private detective, as in what? Kathy Bingham. And was this second interview with Caden coming round, was that behind Alicia's back, as like Alicia said in the early days, that I don't trust Kathy Bingham whatsoever because she's done an interview with my son 2 times without informing us, the parents? And who was that someone that told the private detective then about Caden knew what happened? Why would Caden know what happened if he's so innocent and was asleep? And what exactly did he knew what happened then? And who was that someone that grasped or stirred the pot? Caden again told her, maybe Kathy, everything he knew, and she divulged some information that we need to keep private, but Colton Newton, Travis Monson, killed Noah. Oh shit. Just like how it's worded like that, I think we do need to zoom in right now, because in some ways it's quite shocking, more so in how it's worded. I don't know if anyone else agrees. So what, this information that Kathy Bingham divulged into, what in regard to Colton and Travis killing Noah Presgrove? I mean, what does Kathy Bingham think of this? I mean, the record needs to be set straight, because who knows, like, this is only just a prediction, but could Kathy Bingham leave a comment below and say, hey, I didn't know of this is not true, Alicia's putting words into my mouth? Who knows? But, you know, people can respond back in the comment section below. It might really help. Colton Newton being the older brother to Jack Newton. Travis Monson, Texas guy. Maybe not. Not heard or seen too much of Travis, but Travis was there at the party because of the photos, what we've seen. But where is the hard evidence that Colton and Travis killed Noah, and what would be the reason for it? It says Travis sure has a lot of something to blow. Money, is that? It's hard to read because it's kind of blurred out. At the something these days. Wonder. Very bold words, but take in mind, as bold as this may be, it was a private conversation, so it's not like it was intent at the time to be all public and spread about. So we've got to acknowledge that at least. Caden Pressey did say, though, Sunday night, maybe early Monday morning, in one of his interviews, that Caden saw Colton, Travis Monson, and another skinny guy returning back to the party house. And I kept saying, you know, Sunday or Monday morning, we need to know the time. If it's closer to 3:30, did Colton and Travis bump into Noah as Noah was leaving, walking away from the party house? Did they cross paths? Did anything go wrong? Any altercation? But we never got an update. And Caden Pressey never added on to it. So it's very unfortunate, that, because it was a really important part. Alicia here, April 26, 2024, 7:17 p.m. Kathy Bingham came and spoke to Caden for the second time, okay? He originally was interviewed by Zachary Wright at the Stephens County Sheriff's Office. Okay, right, interesting. And that's about it for that. With that aside, just to fill some extra gaps in, because it's to do with the same themed people, let's look at the response from the general public viewers with the last video that I did with Alicia to Caden Preston. I think it was the air tags. We've got the newest comments and we'll work our way up. Of course, we've got Michelle Brummett, anticipation, making me wait. And Twinkling, Joyce Begau, you're welcome. So shout out to those people. We've got Melissa McFarland. Shout out to them. They say, hey Raf, keep that hair on point. Keeping it on point. Yeah. Not trying to be rude, but I feel all of this Caden and Alicia stuff is getting old and going nowhere. Can you pretty please turn your focus on Colton Newton, Jack Newton and Renee Millan has the most inconsistencies out of everyone in their statements to the LE. I'd love for you to check into that and hear your input. Thank you. So I appreciate what you say about my hair. In terms of other people, though, like Colton, Jack, and Renee, I have analysed it on my channel in the past. I have done some focused videos. In the past, Melissa, I spent many months on the light side, going against or highlighting the dark side and these similar named individuals. I did further go into, at one point, Colton Newton that outright threatened someone for simply reaching out and questioning Stephanie Millan, which is forgotten about. Let's just see the responses. Dark side, or I am the dark side, replies, they don't have the most inconsistencies, not even close, all of them combined. Don't hold a candle to all the outright lies told by Alicia. From what I've seen since, I would say that the combination between Alicia and Caden, they have the most inconsistencies and discrepancies by far. And most of it is all documented on my channel already and even through my map analysis project. And it's just not looking good whatsoever. It's unfortunate, but that's just reality. Lisa says, oh no, well Raf, let her have it. Wait, what? Let who have it? Excuse me? Does this mean you don't think Caden's timeline is important? I have to cover myself. This is only a joke. I'm not serious whatsoever. Melissa. Who's Melissa? Oh, whatever's going on there. Andrea. He's done videos on that, but as of now, Alicia has the most inconsistency. So shout out to Andrea for remembering, credit to them for the videos that I did in the past. See, I know some people may label Andrea upon the dark side, even though there might not be any sides whatsoever. But, at least Andrea can acknowledge my videos from the past, which were on the light side, and my videos since. Same can't be said by some with time. Same can't be said about some from the army page. How they only acknowledged one part and not the full aspect. One day at a time, to Melissa, can you elaborate on other inconsistencies in their statements to LE? Shout out to Elijah. Lisa, wow, you did it. 16,000 subscribers. Appreciate that. Took quite some time compared to previous milestones. Got Michaela as well. Appreciate that. Carl, congratulations. Warlike Raf, well deserved. Appreciate that. And Lisa says, I've been watching the number grow slowly but steadily. Guesstimated 16,000 by summertime, so I wasn't too far off. Summertime in 2 weeks. Good job. So appreciate that. I guess it's because we're focusing on the Noah Presgrove case and not moving on to other cases, new cases and communities. I'm not going to grow as fast as like what other channels do, where they jump onto the hottest, latest trend. We've got +1 again. Michaela, I am no longer convinced by anything this woman says. My opinion. I guess that means what Alicia says. Sherry Wright, why use a tracking device when you can have Life 360 on your phone? Fair point. Unless Alicia felt that Caden might not always have his phone with him, so for double protection, as long as Caden is in his vehicle, wherever his vehicle goes, Caden will follow because he's in it. Whereas if it was just Life 360 through phone tracking only, if it didn't incorporate vehicle tracking, Caden might leave his phone behind and then you can't track him. I could be wrong, but I do agree to some extent because Alicia in the past at some points, and others as well, others more so, constantly referring to the Life 360, why it can do and what it can provide, so then why is tracking on a truck needed? But Darkside does say, she said in case Caden's phone died, so besides losing it or leaving it behind, if the phone dies, you can't track any further. But is a vehicle going to die the same way? Not as likely. Darkside also, Alicia said it was Find My iPhone, wasn't it? So many different stories, I can't keep up. Sherry, but even that would give you an idea where to start looking. I guess, but if Caden outright left his phone at home for whatever reason and then started driving somewhere, there's no way to track him, so you would have to have a tracker on the vehicle. Maybe Alicia was being double protective, extra cautious. Andrea, good job, Raf. Much appreciated, of course. AJ, Dina and Lisa are both full-blown loons. Okay. AJ, absolutely nothing in the autopsy. Injury supports murder. Not to also mention that has been ruled out. Carl, I think your second proposal is the correct one. Someone put a tracker on Caden's vehicle and then out of concern for his safety, Alicia, Caden put on a tracker to make sure he was in touch with them. Maybe. But at least from the interpretation, was it by Joyce Bergow or somebody else? The interpretation was that in 2023, Alicia was responsible for the tracker then, but in 2024, at a later point, it was a stranger. And if it's two separate events, it's just weird the order that followed in. So Alicia was concerned from the get-go to track Caden, but then at a later point in time, someone else took interest in doing that too. Weird. TJ, some police departments use AirTags nowadays. I don't know about Oklahoma, but I know they do in other states, usually for theft and things along those lines, but could be used in other scenarios. Also, maybe responsible police suspicious of Caden wanting to track him and following about, but not enough to take his phone in or not enough to follow up on an interview early on. Depends. And Stephen says, is that the everyone hates me guy? Oh, that person a travesty. Yeah, so I guess been active in recent time, but going at it with all kinds of people in the community, which is a bit of a mess, to be honest. Besides that, we have reached the end of the comments here. All in all, it was interesting to take a look back at things, conversations, points of views, ideas from Alicia, what she's heard of, what she's been told and found out with time, 2023 or 2024. There'll be some other gaps to fill in when we take a look at more like screenshot dumps of conversations and DMs, and that can be reserved for tomorrow or the day after when there is time. See if anything else stands out. The constant reference to Noah wearing the black shorts, and yet Caden is the only one to acknowledge that, and others don't, but others were present to be in that position to follow through and acknowledge what Caden says himself. But, depends. What we'd say is, like when you get the timeline timestamps where cracks start forming, mistakes are made, then it has a knock-on effect to future times given by Caden, and before that, makes you doubt one thing, then another, and then everything could be a complete mistake and wrong. Could that apply to your memory recollections of details, characteristics about something, regardless of time? So Caden saw a service truck, which I think the mention was had a crane on it. But Cash Allsup had a service truck, but was there at a later time, which had no crane on it. But if Cash had a high-vis jacket, and if Cash was the one to tell Caden to leave the highway, but Cash was only there at 6 in the morning onwards, well then Caden would have had to have been there at 6 in the morning onwards, meaning the 5:15 isn't likely. But more specifically in the details of what you saw, or what you think you saw compared to what you actually saw but didn't process or chose not to process or got confused down the line, possibly, it might not just apply to Caden, it could apply to any party goer at different times of the party itself and then onwards and at the highway, the scene too. With the white service truck just being just like a slight example. The guy that telling him to leave, who was that really? Because the one that told Caden to leave hasn't spoken out publicly online. But if they did, that would clear up a lot, really. Surely. And if they had the time of when they were present, when they told Caden to leave, the time of it all, it would either make or break Caden's timeline just like that, and yet they've not spoken out publicly. All it takes is just one person, that's all it takes, one person to clear it all up. And it would fix many other things too. But they haven't. You see how simple it really is? It just hasn't happened. Now, in terms of some people out there or creators that are continuously attacking and harassing other members in the community and case in unnecessary ways, same said individual or individuals that will claim justice for Noah Presgrove, fight for justice, fight for a resolve, claim to care about the case, claim to care about Noah and the victim's family. But I think realistically, anyone that claims to care about the case, anyone that claims to care about Noah Presgrove and justice would not be resorting to continuous harassment and threats. It seems pretty clear that, doesn't it? But, there are people that keep going on and on and on and on. And I would say those that keep going on and on and on, whinging and whining and doing community posts and doing videos and going on and obsessing about others, clearly don't care about Noah Presgrove or the case. Because if they did truly care, they wouldn't be bringing all this mess in or making it overshadow the actual important points. But there we go. And of course, with the fake accounts along the way, the default ones, the newly created accounts, the only reason why someone does that is because it's a sign that they're losing control. They are losing power. The dynamics are shifting. Simple as. Seen it in the past, seeing it again. How embarrassing. That aside, hopefully you found the video interesting. If you want to share and hit the thumbs up, that'd be much appreciated. And make sure to drop your comments below and let me know what you think up to now of the situation. Who do you think has the most discrepancies and inconsistencies within the case? My name's Wallite Raff. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.